Okay, so welcome back to the second part of sending an SMS message with PHP. Now in this part we are going to take the array that we've created with all the data from source SMS in, and we're going to actually go ahead and send a message with this. So what we need to do is we need to actually access the source SMS API, and to do this we need to create a query string from the array that we've created in our PHP page here. So we've got this fields array that we already know that we've created, and what we need to do is, so the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and convert this to a query string, and we're going to do this using the HTTP build query function. So let's just go ahead and test it out first of all. So the function is HTTP build query, and we pass through an array, and there's a variety of other ways you can use this function. Just head over to the PHP manual and check that out. Now when I go ahead and refresh this, you'll see that we have something slightly different, and here we've got from equals Alex, then we've got an ampersand to specify the next variable and its value, so that's 2, and then my number, and then the message, and so on and so forth, and all the details that we have here. Let me just go ahead and change this back to 1. I've been doing some testing between the two video parts, and that's why you'll also notice that with let's just open here, you'll see that I have sent 4 now, so worthwhile pointing that out. Okay, so what we can actually do now is we can say fields string is equal to the result of this function, which is that query string. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this now because I was going to do it a slightly different way, and that was looping through each element and then URL encoding it, so using the URL encode function in PHP and building up the query string that way. But this function is quite neat, and it works on one line. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to connect via curl, via curl, and actually send this data to this page here. Okay, so we need to connect to curl, set a few options, so set the URL, the amount of fields that we're sending, the field data itself, and then actually execute this, and this will send all this data to the URL at the top of the script. So the first thing that we want to do is set up a handle or a handler for curl, and this is just using the curl init function, so it's initializing curl. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to set a few options, the first one being the URL that we want to send to. So we're going to be using the curl set opt function a few times over, and this uses the handle that we've just specified up here, and then we pass through the options, so the URL, the comma, and the URL, which is just the URL variable up here. I'm going to duplicate this down 3 times because we're going to be setting 3 different things. The second one is post. Now this isn't actually the post data; it's rather the count of the fields. We have a final option, post fields, which is the fields themselves. Now we know this; it's the field string that we generated just a moment ago. However, this one's the count. Now we could just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and pop 8 in there, but it's much better just to do count and then fields. So count will count the amount of elements within an array. Okay, so now that we've set all of these options, we need to actually go ahead and execute this. So I'm going to create a variable called result, and I'm going to store the result of curl execute, and then the handle for the curl initialization, which is ch, and then I'm going to go ahead and close the connection, and you probably guessed, specifying ch in there. Now if everything's worked here, we should be able to actually send a message. So I have my phone with me. Obviously you're not going to be able to see the result of this. I'm just going to have to check it comes through properly, and then I can know that the code's correct and we've done everything correctly. So let's go ahead and run this. Let's go ahead and open up our browser and hit enter, and there we go. So the reason that this is showing is, you have probably heard that vibration then, is because we have source info set to 1. If we had source info set to 0, nothing happens. So if I go ahead and do this again, in fact I'll explain this quickly first. So we've got just a confirmation message, the message itself, the number that's being sent to, how it's being from, and our credit count as well. So relatively straightforward stuff here. Yeah, again, so if I was to set this to 0, go ahead and refresh, you'll hear the vibrate in just a moment. There we go. So that's a text to my phone, basically. And that's pretty much it. So in this tutorial we have essentially, well, this is extremely straightforward, and Source SMS have made this ridiculously straightforward. Just by specifying these different options, we can build up this query using the HTTP build query function in PHP. You know, open a basic curl connection and send this data here, or use curl to send this data here. And obviously if you were sending this data, you know, sort of retrieving a number from a database, or, you know, a form or something like that, it's extremely easy to just you know, place any variables in here, and this will be sent along with a query, so specifying which numbers for things to be sent to, from, you know, things like that, and obviously the message as well. So that is how to very easily send SMS messages with PHP.